I think it just came down to what I thought was maybe the biggest challenge, what I thought was best for me, coming back to my alma mater.
Florida Football Highlights with Steve Spurrier is brought to you by Dairy Farmers Incorporated, producers of real Florida fresh milk. By First Union service, we guarantee it. By Golden Flake Snack Food, one taste and you're stuck on Golden Flake. By Osmos and Great Southern Wood, the most trusted name in wood preserving. And by Scotty's, your Florida home improvement source since 1924.
It was considered by many to be the first big test for the Gators as they traveled to Alabama. And behind a second-half aerial attack, the Gators passed the test, turning back the tide 17-13. Hi, everybody. I'm Mick Hubert, along with head coach Steve Spurrier. The Gators scored their second straight win, rallying from a 10-0 deficit midway through the third quarter, thanks to some clutch performances. Safety Will White intercepted 3 passes. Jimmy Spencer blocked a punt, which Richard Fain turned into a touchdown, while Shane Matthews threw for 267 yards. Congratulations, Steve, on the victory.
Mick, it certainly was a big win for us, a very special win, and I think the way it happened really is going to help our team and help everyone that loves University of Florida. It was a game against a very quality opponent, Alabama. Gosh, they've won 11 national championships in their history, 19 SEC championships, and plus they were in the top 10 in the country last year, won the conference championship last year, and so forth. And we had to play at their place in front of their crowd, over 70,000 there. But I might add, we had 7,500 Gators, and I believe we were louder in the fourth quarter than the Tide fans were. But it was a special win in that we didn't play super. We had a lot of bad things happen to us in the first half. I thought I'd called a lousy first half. Those 4th and 1s, we could have done something different rather than try it up the middle. But anyway, our players just kept playing hard, and we finally made some things happen. We hit some big plays, blocked the punt. A lot of individual heroics out there yesterday. But the big thing is that our team just continued playing hard the whole game, and something good finally happened for us.
And it was a clear case of believing in what you know you can do and coming around. And though it didn't start out well for the Gators, it certainly finished very strong.
Oh, exactly, Mick. There were times in that game where some teams would say, well, if that play lost the game for us, or, well, we can't win because that happened. But our guys never had that attitude at all, and hopefully we want the entire season. The team had a tremendous attitude throughout the game, had the ability to forget about the bad plays and just keep trying, and we had some great individual effort by some kids that really earned us the victory.
So the Gators defeat Alabama by the score of 17-13. A lot of exciting plays in the game. Let's go to Bryant-Denny Stadium. Over 70,000 fans on hand. Alabama wins the kickoff. The Tide elects to take the football. And here's Ryan Rulin's kick to start the football game.
A little short on his first kickoff. Ryan usually hits him to the goal line, but we get pretty good coverage here. They start around the 26-yard line. I think Carlton Miles was in on that kickoff return tackle. Here's the first play of the game, and Godfrey Miles is there. Will White comes up, and that certainly was a nice way to set the tone of the game, having about 9 guys in on the first tackle.
Gator defense had a good series pressuring Hollingsworth.
Yeah, here's Hollingsworth. He tries to scramble out. I think Brad Culpepper was on the ground, got his foot up there, and knocked the ball out. That's sort of an unusual play. Here's our first play. We run a little sweep play with Dexter McNabb, and Dexter's a very strong runner. Excellent block over there by Kirkpatrick and Ernie Mills and Willie McClendon. Here's Shane's worst play of the season, but we didn't have a very good play called. He really had no one open, and we lost the ball back there. We lost, I guess, a couple of fumbles in the game and had an interception. Here's their little receiver, Sanderson, a fine wide receiver. He caught most all their passes. He and Lamont Russell here, number 81, their tight end. And those are their 2 big play receivers for Alabama. This is an interesting play. Mark Murray looks like he's about to sack Hollingsworth. Looks like he's throwing it away, and all of a sudden he hits Sanderson in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown.
73-yard drive, and the Tide led 7-0 as the Gators got the ball back.
Here's Kirkpatrick over the middle. Shane, I think that might have been his first completion. It took us a while to to get started yesterday, but fortunately in the second half we did hit some big plays. Here's a little scramble play to Dexter McNabb.
That was the end of the first quarter. The Gators leading 7-0. Florida trying to get on the scoreboard here early in the second quarter.
Here's Arden's field goal. We felt like he could certainly reach from 47. He said later he just didn't catch it quite as well as he'd hoped, and it was just barely short. Here's the fumble. That was, couldn't hardly see it, but
I think Jimmy Spencer got the recovery.
Jimmy Spencer or Timmy Falk, it was sort of hard to see.
So the Gators get the ball back, and again, look for Willie McClendon coming out of the backfield.
Right. We've got to quit going backwards and throwing. Kane sort of got a habit of rolling out back to the right. We've got to step up the pocket a little bit more. Here's the 4th and 1, and again, looking back, I wish we'd tried something different, but we missed 2 4th and 1s just about on the same spot on the field. Here's Timmy Falk with a good hit, clean hit on Lamont Russell, their tight end. Russell did come back in the game. He was just shaken up briefly there.
Let's watch Will White work here, Coach.
Yeah, Will White had, I guess, the day of his college career thus far. He's just a sophomore from Tallahassee, and 3 interceptions on the day. Hey, he runs with the ball pretty well too, Nick. We may have to get him the ball a little bit more often. And here's Ernie out in the flat. As you can see, there we are stuck on another 4th and 1.
And after another timeout, here's the play.
Well, we thought we could hit over left tackle here, but as you can see, we messed up our blocking, and it wasn't a very good call. And if we had to do over again, we'd try something different.
So that's the way the half ended in Tuscaloosa. Alabama on top of the Gators by a score of 7-0. Stay with us. We'll come back with our At the Half segment when the Florida football highlights with Steve Spurrier continues in just a moment. Oftentimes, the college ranks follow the lead of pro football, from offensive and defensive schemes to rule changes as well. In 1982, when the NFL switched from the use of game films to videotape, it wasn't long before the colleges followed suit. So, let's roll the videotape.
In this room are game films that date as far back as the 1930s. Game film used to be the primary source for scouting opponents and evaluating players, but recently, all that has changed. This new computer video editing system is the wave of the present and of the future.
In the spring of 1989, the Southeastern Conference and its member institutions agreed that all SEC teams would make the switch to video. According to Dave Houts, Director of Video Services, the ability to make multiple copies of each game quickly enables all the coaches to evaluate every play and every player and as early as Sunday morning.
And we do a scouting report, we do a computer evaluation, computer analysis, a printout, and then we convert that data to the video editor, and we make video reports on tapes that show frequencies, that show tendencies that the other teams display both on offense, defense, and special teams.
Okay. According to Jim Bates, defensive coordinator, video is not only helpful to the coaches, but to players as well.
When you had film, you had to sort of go 1st and 10, 2nd, and then you may have 10 3rd and long situations, but you never saw them all packed together. With the video, you're seeing the 10 3rd and long plays all at once, and a player is able to focus in on what they want to do in this 3rd down and 10 situation. We show it to them on the field after they've watched the video, and then they ought to be able to take it into the ball game.
With responsibilities ranging from taping practices to the processing of scouting reports, Dave and his staff of student assistants often average over 150 man-hours per week and produce nearly 100 videotapes per opponent.
I try and work here and provide support for the coaches whenever they're here, and you know how hard they work. Coaches are some of the hardest working people we know. They work terrifically long hours, and I try and provide that support for them while they're here.
The future of videotape seems endless, But one thing is for certain. With videotape, this is a problem of the past. I'm Steve Babbitt for Inside Gator Football.
Steve, everything's high-tech nowadays, and Dave House is really hopping with all that videotape equipment.
Sure is, Mick. He's one of the best I've ever seen at this. Of course, this is my first year in video. We were using film last year up at Duke. But it is certainly far superior, and this is the wave of the future is video. So we're very happy with what Dave does there, and I tell you what, he also comes out in the summertime and tapes our golf swings. So he helps us in the golf game also in the off-season.
Really keeps a guy like Dave Hudson working year-round. We'll come back and take a look at the second half highlights right after we look at some important research at the University of Florida.
Here's a look at some other activities at the University of Florida.
Sounds like she's over in Titusville, Marina area, and we'll just putt over it slowly and quietly and see if we can get a visual on her.
Bob Bondi is looking for Diane. His search for the female manatee would be almost impossible if he didn't have help from the latest space-age technology. In the past, researchers used this to help them study manatees. It's a radio signal tracking device. But today it's being replaced by new satellite technology. The satellite transmitter is attached to a belt around the manatee's tail. The transmitter sends a high-frequency signal to a weather satellite orbiting above the Earth. Using the satellite transmission, scientists can plot the manatee's location on a map. Scientists say the key to the manatee's long-term survival is preserving areas which are critical to their existence.
Making a world of difference. The University of Florida.
Florida trailing Alabama 7-0, but Coach, your second half comeback doesn't really start at the outset of the period because it took 4 or 5 minutes for the Gators to get going.
Well, we sputtered that first drive of the second half, and fortunately, I think Dexter McNabb jumped in there and recovered a fumble for us, and we punted the ball away, and then Alabama got a field goal. But the next drive, I believe we went around 80 yards for the touchdown and really opened up the gates for us. It seems like we were really stymied. We'd moved the ball sporadically, but when we got that touchdown to Terrence Barber, it really seemed like we had new life in all the Gators.
All right, we'll take a look at that play and all the big plays coming up in the second half. The Gators had the football to open the half, could not move it, and Alabama then took over with the tie leading by a score of 7-0. Here's Anderson, the tailback.
They creased us a little bit there with that run. I think that was that in the reverse play is where Alabama made most of all their rushing yards. And here's Noel, their excellent all-conference kicker, and he boomed it way through the uprights.
And that made it 10-0, 11 minutes to play in the third quarter.
Here's an excellent throw by Shane to Lonzo Sullivan over the middle. Just one of our basic patterns there. And I tell you, to win like this on the road, being behind 10-0 in the second half, I really believe it's going to help us down the stretch, Nick. It's going to show our guys that, hey, even though we have a lot of bad things happen, if we keep trying hard, some good things are going to happen. Here's Trey Everett. They call it a face mask because he stiff-armed him on the face mask. I haven't seen that call in a long time, but it took us way back. Fortunately, here's one of the third downs we converted. Willie caught a nice pass and ran about 10 more yards for the first down.
This was a good passing series for Shane.
Yes, it was, and that was a play that was good for us. Trey Everett sort of up over the middle there. Here's the touchdown, and I tell you, this was a scramble play. We were trying to get Kirk out in the flat, and Terrence came across the back of the end zone there and just made a beautiful catch and a nice throw from Shane.
67 yards in 10 plays for the Gators to cut the lead at this point to 10-7.
Well, Alabama got their fullback out there, and we didn't tackle very well. Fortunately, Will White was there to make the tackle.
Hollingsworth looking for Sanderson here again.
Right. This was a third down. Alabama only converted 5 of 17 third downs, so this was a defensive struggle here. Both defenses had outstanding days. Here's Will White again on a beautiful play. They were trying to go to their tight end, Lamont Russell. Will stepped in and got his, I think that was his second interception of the day.
So now, Coach, you're huddling in the end zone. You got to get it out of there.
Right. This was certainly a big play of the game. We thought we could get Ernie Mills deep, and sure enough, he got behind him, and Shane made the perfect throw this time. Ernie got actually 3 deep balls thrown at him. One was a little overthrown, one was a little underthrown, and this one was perfect. So if you keep throwing them down there, eventually you're going to hit something.
Take another look from the end zone and watch him sprint under it.
Right. Hit him on the dead stride, and of course the protection was perfect up front. Our offensive line, I thought the pass blocking was very good the entire game.
And that would get the Gators down the field in nice position there.
Here's another throw to Terrence Barber out here, and as you can see, Terrence had to get down low and scoop it off the top of the AstroTurf. And we had to settle for a field goal, but this was important to get the game at 10-10, and it seemed like the momentum was on our side, and our guys seemed to be getting a little bit stronger as the game progressed.
Here's a big defensive play.
Here's a sack by Brad Culpepper. Michael Brandon, I think, was in there also.
So after 3 quarters, it's a brand new football game as they move to the 4th quarter at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
It was a hot day, Nick, and I really think that worked to our advantage. Alabama's depth is not real good, especially on defense, and we felt like that maybe that would help us in the 4th quarter. There's the block punt. Jimmy Spencer, Richard Payne recovered in the end zone, and again, special teams doing the job for us. It may have won the game for us, that play right there.
Here's an isolated look at the punter.
He takes a little extra time. Our punt block coach, Bob Sanders, noticed it in pregame, and we got to work with Richard catching block punts there, but he did fall on it in the end zone, and certainly that was maybe the biggest play of the game right there.
This is Doyle, and I add the final points for Alabama and the final points of the game. It's 17-13 at this point as time drawing close for Alabama now.
That's right. It was 17-13 with about 4 or 5 minutes left. We had a chance to run out the clock and couldn't do it. There was their play to Sanderson that got him out of the hole. But here's where our defense really rose to the occasion. Michael Brandon right there on a little stunt up front. And that was one of the big plays of the game right there. Here's their 4th and 17 play, and Monty Groves back there, Dale Spear. And now we need to make 1 first down so they don't get their hands back on the ball. And we were fortunate to do it. Trey Everett caught a pass. And again, it was a big win for all Gators because we won on the road. We won a game on television, hadn't done that in a couple of years, and against a very good Alabama team.
So it's a 17-13 victory for the Florida Gators in Tuscaloosa. We'll come back and hear from some of the players when our program continues in just a moment.